Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Todd Durkin here with the Todd Durkin Impact Show. Hey, welcome back. This is 2025, and I am so excited to join you for this first episode. And hey, who's gotten their annual strategic plan done and are off and running in 25? I hope that is you, because let me tell you what, you're in for a real treat, not only today, but with the Impact Show podcast and all that we'll be doing here in 2025. We've got some epic plans for you, and I'm excited for you to listen into today's show. As a matter of fact, I have a little fun for you today. It's not just yours truly getting after mano a woman. It's going to be my great friend, Rebecca Garity-Pinto, is going to be interviewing me. Yes, I'm the guest on today's show because we're going to talk all things 2025 and what most excites you about 2025. Because I want to know at the end of today's show, what most excites you for 2025? What fires you up for 2025? Now, just to give you a little bit of an inkling, Rebecca asked me some really deep questions. She was asking me about things like what most excites me about our coaching in 2025. She actually talks about mentors, and some of my mentors, I am proud to say I got a little emotional talking about some of them, and you'll have to hear about who they are and what she talked about and asked, because I believe all of us need mentors. We all have coaches in our lives. I know each and every one of you are doing great things in your life. She goes deeper and deeper on Impact X Performance and my big plans for 2025, because I have a very, very big vision on IXP, Impact X Performance, for 2025. And then lastly, we talk legacy. And legacy, your legacy in 2025 starts today. As you listen to the Impact Show, I want you to get buckled up, get strapped in, and get ready for an epic show as you're working out, you're in the car, on the plane, whatever you're doing, that you get really, really excited for 2025. It's here, my friends. It's time, and this is our year. So without further ado, let's go out to the show right now with Rebecca Garity-Pinto and yours truly.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Garity-Pinto, and I've worked with Todd for the last 15 years, now in a deeper capacity, since joining the TDE team at the end of 2023. And now we get to turn the tables.
Let's go.
I get to interview you. So Todd, welcome to your show.
Thank you very much. Great to be back on the show. This will not be a regular kind of thing right here. This is actually a special edition, the first one of 2025. So Rebecca, it's been awesome having you on the TDE team. We've gone way back since the idea days and everything there, but truly you make us better. I thank you for everything you do for TDE and all the speaking and the conferences and events and retreats and everything else that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here. I know 2025 is going to be an epic year, and I know you're fired up about it. So let's find out what's going to be big this year. How are you going to create impact in more lives? So you ready to get started?
Let's go. Let's go.
So I want to know, what are you most excited about for 2025?
Woo! Most excited about. Well, I spent the last 3-4 weeks literally on my annual strategic plan going through all the different facets of TDE and also personal. So I've got some personal goals. I got professional goals on that. So I'm excited for a lot of things, and there's some big things coming up for the team and for our community, our podcast community. You'll hear more about what's coming up on the podcast in 2025 and the things that we've got planned for y'all that want to go even deeper, hear more episodes in that. But the thing I'm most excited about, almost in chronological order, so to speak, is I hinted at this in Q4 of 2024, but I'm really excited about, I got a legacy book coming out on March 21st. March 21st, a kind of a special date, but you'll hear about more as my birthday gets closer. I got a new book called Coaching Greatness coming out. I haven't really revealed all the names of it yet, but Coaching Greatness, I have been spending the last 6 weeks in depth, really finalizing what that book's all about. I'm really excited about Coaching Greatness. It's kind of a looking back over 25 years. We just celebrated on January 1st of 2025, our 25th anniversary of being in the brick and mortar at Fitness Quest 10. Obviously, we have Impact X Performance facilities now as well. But 25 years ago, on Jan 1, we started Fitness Quest 10. So I'm really excited about that. Our coaching programs are going to be expanding in 2025, and I'm excited about coaching. My divine uniqueness is as a coach. And I realized as our team has grown, as my vision has grown, is all that will be with coaching, which really fires me up because we've got some massive plans for 2025 that'll probably roll out more around the book time in March-ish into April. And then speaking, what you do is I'm really fired up about speaking. I shared in a previous episode at the end of 2024 is I don't know how this gets done, but I want to speak 50 times in 2025. And I'm excited about that. I love when I can meet and speak with so many great people around the country, around the world on that. And we've coming out for a toured start in 2025. So those are just three things that are coming up. Obviously, I have many others, but the speaking, the coaching, the one other one I'll say, and this has been since May of 2024, an all-in effort, is Impact X Performance. And this is about 70 to 80% of my time right now is with Impact X Performance, really putting down not only the foundation with our 7 locations, but my business partner, Travis Barnes, and I have been working really hard in the last 7-8 months on that. But my vision has gone even bigger on IXP and what we're going to be delivering in 2025. We can get into that later on in the show, but that's kind of like the epicenter of everything because our coaching is going through IXP, our fitness, our recovery, our faith aspect deliverables and that. So I'm really excited about how we can now bring light to communities throughout the country in 2025.
Wow, so much to dig into. Now, you talk a lot about coaching. What are your goals with coaching in 2025?
Oh, man. Personally, I want to coach more. I actually want to coach more in 25. Coaching's like a drug. And if you don't have it, you want more of it. And when I say coaching, I love coaching to this day still in the trenches. I still love doing one-on-one or small group coaching, large group, if it's with a group of people or it's one-on-one, I love that. But coaching also means life coaching. At the beginning of 2025 here, some of you probably saw it. I was like, hey, I'm going to accept 3 people into a very intensive 90 days of greatness coaching. Well, we got more than 3 people who wanted in on that, but I am now coaching 3 people very intensely every week, doing life coaching with them to get them to a level that they want to get to within 90 days. Like, I love the challenge of coaching somebody to their best level, their best self. So that's one aspect of me personally coaching, but now I'm also coaching a lot of coaches. Like, we've got the Impact Life Coaching certification. We have over 60 people certified in that program now. The second cohort is going to be graduating in March. We'll have a retreat right here as we speak in San Diego at the HQ. And then we'll have our third cohort starting next September 2025, our next level and cohort of life coaches. I'm really intent on that. My vision is every company in America is going to have life coaching. And I want Impact Life Coaching to be represented so we can go into companies and lead employees and people to be their best self so they can deliver even more value to their company and to the people they serve. So I truly believe that life coaching, or success coaching as we call it, is going to be a bigger aspect here in 2025. And that's what I'm excited about. I still love being in the trenches. I still love training, athletes and clients. That just keeps my appetite wet. It really keeps my finger to the pulse. But I love coaching the coaches now too, between the mastermind that I have of Fit Pros and then the life coaching program. And then all of our coaches in the tree. I call it the coaching tree in the book that I'm writing, the coaching tree. Who's in that coaching tree? There's a lot of strong initiatives within coaching in 25.
So you said coaching is like a drug. Once you get it, you want more of it. Are you saying as a coach yourself or people that are being coached?
It's a good question. Both. I truly believe that everyone needs a coach. I've always had a coach since I've been 5 years old playing soccer. I've always had a coach athletically. Then when athletics ended when I was 25, I've always had like a business coach or a life coach or a spiritual coach. I've always had coaches in my life, and I've realized the value that a coach brings in not only mentorship, but in accountability and speaking life into you. So I know the value from the receiver side. And I think that's one of the reasons why I believe in coaching so much, is because I've always been coached. And now in being a coach for 30 plus years, even though we celebrated brick and mortar for 25, in over 30 years of coaching, when I say the drug of coaching, when you change lives one at a time, that's really like the drug of like, there's nothing better when you know you made a difference in someone's, not just life, but like a relationship or their finances. You change their financial, their whole trajectory, their relationship. Maybe you've saved a marriage. You probably turned around their business and helped catapult them to a 20% increase or doubled their revenues, whatever that may be. And we've seen it all. But when I say the drug of, it's like a drug. It's a drug on all levels, because I know that changing lives is what I love to do, is when you change a life. But I would say it's one by one. Like, it's easy to say, I want to change 10 million lives or now 100 million lives and get on this big macro. But really it comes down to one by one. And when I'm on a Zoom coaching session for business or life, or I'm in the trenches like I will be after this podcast interview, training an athlete one-on-one, it comes down to that one person. So how can you like micro focus on the one, but still have a vision of I want to change 1,000 lives or 1,000,000 lives or 100 million, whatever it is. I love to this day still like one-on-one, like me and you, mano a mano, and we're gonna go like Rocky Balboa style and just go at it and get better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been one of the most enjoyable things as my role at TDE, right? Helping you in this, even seeing you, whether it's speaking to a room of 20, 200, 2,000, but just your ability to, even though the room might have 2,000 people, for everyone in that room to feel like you've personally connected with them, that individuality, that personalization.
I was working out about a week ago. I'm going to get emotional thinking about this, but I can still see a lot of the huddles that are broken people down on in the huddle. And I love when you see people's eyes. That's why I love like being live. When you see people's eyes and you're in there and you see someone and you don't know what they're going through. So you don't know if they're on a high or a low of lows. And I don't know why many times I'm speaking to the person who might have a struggle going on. Something's kind of like holding them back. Those are the people I love talking to. Like, they're missing a little bit of mojo. They got greatness in them, but they need to get it ripped out. I was speaking with a gal recently who started a very successful business, and she told me it was a huddle at an Idea World a few years back, that something I said in the huddle. Now, I didn't know this girl. She found me, told me this, and she has a very successful business right now because of something that was said in that huddle. Likewise, I was up at Impact X Performance in December. We had a trainer meetup. Maybe some of you saw that. I was having a meetup, and a gentleman came in who used to be in the mastermind in 2016, 17, and 18. He got out of the fitness industry. This man is now doing incredible things that you can't even imagine. Not only like what he's making and generating and all that, but the impact he's doing. He came that day, which was just a week after his father passed away. He had not yet eulogized his father. He came to say thank you, because the same principles he learned then in the mastermind, he's using now in his business. Like, to me, that's the impact. Like, you don't know, but it's one by one, in a huddle, in a one-on-one call, in a group. Like, you just don't know who you're speaking to these days. Mm-hmm. It's like those stories that no one knows. That's why I always love when people share their stories. You're like, you don't know how much. I don't know who's listening to this podcast right now. I don't know everybody. I want to know everyone. That's like, I want to hear the stories. I want to know, how does this show or a session or a huddle, how does it impact you? What are you doing to make the biggest impact in life?
Very cool. I mean, it's just the power of coaching, right? And sometimes you don't even know the impact that you're making until sometimes years later.
That's right.
So what do you think it takes to be a great coach?
Whew. That's why I'm writing this book called Coaching Greatness. I got 10 traits of the greats. One of them is listening more than speaking. Listening more than speaking. I think it takes a lot of great active listening to be a great coach. Great coaches, sometimes even people look at me like, oh, he's that energy guy. He's that fiery guy. Yeah, sometimes, but many times I'm actually listening when I'm coaching someone. And it's that listening and using your experience or wisdom that you've been through that makes a great coach. I also say a great coach is train people from the inside out. It's not just about, hey, someone's trying to shed 25 pounds or someone wants to take a 40 time from a 4.8 to a 4.5. They want to play college football. They want to play in the pros, whatever it may be. Great coaches train from the inside out, knowing that what you do is not who you are. Let me repeat, what you do is not who you are. Just because I'll just use football because I train a lot of football guys or baseball, but just because what you do is not who you are is on the inside, who you are. That's identity. Oh, now we're talking deeper stuff. Men and women out there in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who have identity crisis because I'm not really happy in my job. I want to make a shift to something else, but my identity's caught in this. I want to change. I'm doing a lot of success coaching, life coaching now with that exact topic of who are you at your core and how do you serve that man or woman that is at your core so you can go then proliferate what you are at your best versus proving an identity because other people think you are this. So I got to do that. But then there's this turmoil inside of you. That's identity. Again, I don't want to go too deep on this, but I'm seeing a lot of that now in the coaching world of who am I? Like, what do I want to do with my future? Where am I at? I love that topic. I faced that from 2020 to 2023. That's called True Strength book. I mean, that's why I wrote the whole book, True Strength, and revealed my whole blood and guts of everything I went through is this wrestling match of the things that all of us face. It's called life. But I'd say that those are some of the things. The last one I'll share, can't give away the whole book, but I'm literally finishing this topic right now is I think the best coaches can not only inspire people, but get them to believe in themselves more than they believe in themselves. Because the best coaches have a way to get them, a boy or girl or a man or woman, to believe in themselves. Because why is it sometimes other people believe in you more than you believe in you? Why is it the best coaches can get you to say, I can do this. I'm built for this. I'm made for this. The best coaches have that ability. And I know that because I've been coached a lot. And I share these stories, but the Coach Wolfs of the world and some of my business mentors, some mentors now, they still to this day instill a belief in me that I'm built for this. Because every human being, I don't care who you are, how much success you've created, everyone's got that inside of them is like, man, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe it's going to be too overwhelming. Maybe that's too much. Maybe I should just be content with where I'm at. Oh, maybe so. Or maybe not. Like went for a walk with Pastor Miles McPherson the other day. And he's like, what if what you're built for is not who you are, but God's got a plan that supersedes everything that you think, but you're not trusting enough? I'm like, ooh, that's deep. That's deep. But when you have your inner circle of people around you that can speak life into you, I think the best coaches speak life into you and get you to believe in you more than you even believe in you.
So let's dive in a little deeper to that.
Sorry for the depth,
right? I mean, as a coach myself, you are just like speaking to my soul. But you're talking a lot about your mentors, even if whether it was your dad as a young boy or Coach Wolf coaching you in football, or even Wayne Cotton as an adult, or you mentioned Pastor Jay or Pastor Miles McPherson. I'd love for you to share some more of that wisdom and lessons that they've shared with you. So what comes to mind when I say Pastor Miles McPherson?
Man, all those mentors are special in so many ways. But I've been with Pastor Miles McPherson for 27 years. when I first moved to San Diego, I found the Rock Church. Well, it was not the Rock then, another church, and then he founded the Rock in year 2000, same year I started Fitness Quest 10. And, you know, in a lot of ways, Pastor Miles, in the last 4 years, has played an even bigger role. I'd say he saved my life in many ways. From 2020 to 2023, the depths of my despair, he was the one guy during the pandemic when everything else was shut down. He and I and a small group of couples were getting together for Bible study, and he knew where I was at. He was one of the few people who knew how bad I was hurting with my knees and my back and my exhaustion and my fatigue and my sleep apnea and everything. Like, he knew, and we'd pray together, and I mean, he saved me, and he spoke life into me. So I'm indebted to Pastor Miles.
What about Pastor Jay? What would you say is the greatest lesson that he has instilled in you or taught you?
Too many. I mean, Pastor Jeremiah, he's a friend. He's a mentor. He's someone that, like, he's a father figure in so many ways. But someday, that guy's an icon. He's a legend in I don't think we realize what a gift we have in Pastor Jeremiah until hopefully a long, long time from now when he's no longer here. We're like, man, like, that guy has so much wisdom and knowledge and intellect and love and compassion for people. I feel very grateful to have Pastor Jeremiah in my life at all, let alone to have the relationship where he'll just call me up on a Saturday just to talk about anything. And it's like, man, every time I am with him, I just want to listen to him speak because of the wisdom that's in him. And I'm very, very grateful for what he and his family have done for me. He is a true friend at all levels.
So what about Wayne Cotton?
My man Wayne. Whew. Life. I wouldn't be here without Wayne. I wouldn't be here. I mean, Wayne Cotton, he was put in my life for a reason. And that guy has so much wisdom and love and compassion. And, you know, he lost a daughter when she was at a young age. And, like, he's been through the ringer on so many levels. But he's had so many successes. He's had significant losses. And he's like a cat. Man just keeps going and getting up and figuring out. And he shares all this with me. But in 1998, when I first met him, it was a start of a relationship where he counseled me a lot on business. He became like a business mentor to me. And to this day, I love when I get an opportunity to talk to Wayne. He's up in Canada. And, you know, if you've been following me for any length of time, you've heard me talk about Wayne because the impact he's had on me in business and life. Because he always says the circle of life is way bigger than the circle of business. But why do we make the circle of business so big? Like, I still remember Rancho Santa Fe retreat, mastermind retreat. He comes and draws this big circle. And it was the circle of business. And then there's a little circle inside that said the circle of life. And he's like, this is what most people think. But then he drew the other big circle and said, this is the circle of life, and this small circle inside of the circle of business, that's where we want. And in order to do that, you've got to take this amount of time off from work. This is what you have to do. He had the complete roadmap for time freedom, energy freedom, money freedom, all the things that everyone strives for, but we have it all backwards. And every time to this day, just talked to him last week, I'm like, man, this guy is so smart, so wise. And here he is in his 70s and he just continues to crush it and drop wisdom. And, you know, I'm very, very grateful for Wayne Cotton.
And he's been on the show before.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
I think we'll have to drop
back-to-back episodes.
Yeah, we'll have to drop those links in the show notes.
We will have to drop them in the show. Matter of fact, I didn't even speak much in that show because he just started dropping knowledge bombs, and I was like, Wayne, just run with it, keep going. I mean, he's a gem. He is a gem, and very, very, very fortunate that he came into my life.
What about Thomas House?
Tom House. My fitness coaching career has probably most been impacted because of Tom House. He impacted my philosophy because I was coming from a massage therapy background and a traditional strength and conditioning background. When I say massage background, I'm talking fascia, Rolfing, Feldenkrais, and in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I started talking about this, people were looking at me like I was cross-eyed, like, wait, what are you talking about? Tom was one of the guys that I went to one of his workshops in the 90s, and he spoke that language. Now, Tom he comes from a Major League Baseball pitching background. He's a pitching coach, but had all this knowledge that he had accrued in the healing world and the performance world. And I just saw him. We had dinner together at the end of the year, about a week ago. And what was interesting is, to this day, I listen to him again, and he just always has something new and exciting to learn because he's got this growth mindset. I'm like, man, like I love listening to Tom, and I've learned so much from Tom. But my fitness career and my methodologies of how I train athletes and clients has been most impacted because of Tom House.
Okay, now we know the guys to thank.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of that has been infused in your coaching.
Yep, 100%.
Today's Todd Durkin Impact Show podcast is brought to you by Impact X Performance. Are you ready to change more lives? Do you want to be part of a dynamic team dedicated to changing the world? And are you ready to step into the next chapter of your life where you can impact even more people? If so, today is the day. That's right, my friends. Impact X Performance is dedicated to be a cutting-edge facility where we can bring you fitness, recovery, faith, and life coaching all under one roof. If you're looking to create even more impact in your community, today is the day. Visit ImpactXFranchise.com. That's ImpactXFranchise.com, and take a look at all of the opportunities that exist for you to create even more impact. That's ImpactXFranchise.com. I'll see you there.
So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about a subject near and dear to my heart.
All right.
You're speaking.
Yeah.
So you talk about keynote speaking a lot. What do you love most about speaking, giving motivational speeches, and who do you love speaking to the most?
Changing lives. I love changing lives. It could be a crowd of 50. It could be a crowd of 500, 5,000. Doesn't matter to me. I want to change lives. I look at it as like a game. Like I'm going into a game and I'm going to change lives. So I'm not sure who it is in the crowd that I'm going to have the opportunity to change a life. I'm a coach who speaks, not a speaker who coaches. There's a difference there if you listen. Like I realize my divine uniqueness is coaching. I love getting up and people are like, you're a motivational speaker. You're a keynote speaker. Yes, I am. I do keynote speaking and I do motivational speaking, but I'm a coach who speaks. So I bring that energy that I would have with an athlete or on the field or in the weight room. I bring that on stage so people can feel who I really am. And then I will pull at them to make commitments on habits and change, not just fitness-wise, but in all aspects of life. Look at the 10 forms of wealth in 3 and 30, the foundational aspects of everything I do with my speaking. I'm in there to change lives. And what can someone do to make themselves better, to be a better husband or wife or a better employee or employer? So I love to speak. Again, I shared my goal earlier on to speak 50 times in 2025 because I love it. I be like, man, you travel. I'm like, I love traveling. I love getting up and going. And one of the things that we're offering, I just met with Julie Wilcox earlier today. One of the things that we're doing in 2025 is we're meeting with more and more companies where we do a talk, but then we meet with the leadership team. It might be 4 to 8 people where we can really go deeper on the whiteboard and speak about and do coaching on the whiteboard of how do we empower the team? How do we make this long-standing like sustainable change with your people so that they're more excited to come in, more excited for the mission of the company, more excited to change more lives, depending on what the product program is within one company. So, I mean, only a third of the speaking engagement I'm doing now are in the fitness field. There's a lot in the financial services world. There's a lot in the service world outside of fitness. So I love that because I can bring fitness into that world as part of my deliverable. And of course, if I'm speaking inside the fitness world, that's like home base.
Yeah.
That's the part that I can do in my sleep in some ways with that. But I love that because those are my people. But speaking outside of fitness now is really where I can go in and make the biggest impact to some of these people who want to be great or want to improve some aspect of their life. And when I share our system with them and coach them on that through the keynote, they leave fired up, they leave excited, we get them emotional, there's highs, there's lows, and before you know it, hopefully they're on their feet, ready to run through a wall.
I love it. Those talks are really, while you get them fired up, they're really actionable.
Yep.
Right? It's about leaving that lasting change, not just creating change in their emotional state in that hour, but even when you're gone, what's going to be that lasting change?
That's right.
For them.
Well, I say that all the time. Like, I say anyone could go in there and fire someone up. Maybe not anyone could go fire some people up, but it's one thing to be a keynote speaker who goes and inspires and fires people up, and people are like, yeah, great job, get on their feet, and saying, oh, that's cool, and that's great, and that's gratifying. But at the end of the day, coaches change lives. How do you do that? There's got to be action steps, and there's got to be some accountability with that of how are you going to, over the next 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 90 days, going to make this change, one change or three changes, whatever it is, where the call is, to make the changes that are necessary to say, this is where I'm going to go to. So how do you get to where you want to go? Like, that's the key is, a lot of people say, oh, I want this in my life. Okay, then what are we going to do about it versus talk about it? How are we going to actually make that change that's necessary to do what has to be done to get someone to where they want to go?
Yeah, drawing back to what you were saying earlier when we kicked off this whole speaking topic is I love that you're identifying yourself as a coach, right? Using that word, that title versus, oh, I'm a keynote speaker or a motivational speaker. Because when you're up on that stage, that's truly what you're doing, is coaching them to change their lives.
Right. I'm in the middle right now. We have a speaker's course. A lot of our people that I'm coaching want to speak. It's like a lot of people want to speak these days. But that's one of the things I always say. Like, you got to identify who you are as a speaker. You don't want to be someone you're not, because the audience can see authenticity or not. And when somebody can go up there authentically as who they are with a great message, and obviously there's ways to create your keynotes or your talks. It's been one of the most valuable things that our speakers have learned is how you be your authentic self, yet deliver that story in a way that can really make maximum impact for the audience.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your newest baby, the Impact X Performance Centers, the franchises that now we're up to seven. Yes, seven locations. It's definitely been a huge focus for you. Just launching May of 2024.
Yep.
So still in its infancy, right? But what are some updates? What can you tell us is in store for Impact X in 2025?
In so many ways, it doesn't feel like an infant because there's been so much work done in 7-8 months on Impact X Performance. But if we have a lot of people who just started joining us end of 24 and the beginning here of 2025. Impact X Performance, it's a holistic coaching company that is brick and mortar, and there's 4 pillars. It's fitness, recovery, life coaching, and faith. So faith, fitness, recovery, and life coaching. We're the only franchise that allows people or offers people those 4 pillars, because fitness and recovery, obviously, I've been doing that forever. The life coaching, I have personally been doing that for a long time, but then just recently in 23 and 24 started offering the certification. So our life coaches can now offer life coaching at our facilities as we grow from 7 My goal, one of my big 5 for 2025, is 25 locations by the end of 2025. So that's a very aggressive goal. We've got a great internal team helping drive those initiatives of if someone is a coach or wants to be a coach or an investor who wants to invest in a coach to open up a lighthouse, Impact X Performance, in their community. They're bringing essentially fitness recovery, life coaching, and faith to be a positive beacon of light. And then people are always like, well, what about the faith part? Is that something like, how does that fit in? I'm like, well, you opt in. If a client or member wants more of that, they opt into that. Part of our core values, that's who we are as people. We're coming at it from a faith aspect, but we have people in those 7 locations. It's how I've run my business for 25 years. That's who I am. We're going to offer a great positive environment. We call it the most positive place on the planet. And I do believe that it is, all 7 of them. And you're going to come in, regardless of one's belief, not religion, but their belief, they can get great workouts, they can do recovery, they can get life coaching. If they choose to get the faith component, they would just opt in. They would have those options to receive even more faith in their life.
So what about people who aren't interested in the faith portion?
They just don't opt in.
Yeah.
They're going to get the best fitness, recovery, and life coaching on that. So they're going to still get us, who coming from, you're not going to hear a bunch of craziness on the music and that. You're going to be an environment that is not only pristine, clean, but is going to be extremely empowering and inspiring with the environment, because how you train, the environment you train in, is a crucial aspect. But if someone's like, hey, I'm cool, I don't want faith or that, okay, then just be around it and absorb it. I also say this. There'll be a point when something goes wrong in someone's life. My hope is what they've done for 25 years is they show up at the sanctuary. They show up at the sanctuary and say, hey, my mom and dad are getting divorced. Or, hey, my son or daughter just did something really stupid. And they share that, because I've heard all of it. I've heard everything. And my thing, again, 25 years here in San Diego, is how do we create 100 or 500 or 1,000 of these sanctuaries? So not only when things go wrong, regardless of the faith, regardless of what we've got, even here, we got every religion involved. It's not about religion. It's not about that at all. People come in when they're either down or they want to get to the next level. You want to get to the next level? We're the right people for you. We can help you, right? And to me, being that lighthouse is everything. That's our whole mission. Be the light, be the light, be the light. And between Impact X Performance and those who are in my mastermind group, we've got a list of all the people in my mastermind group. These are people who are lighthouses around the country. Like, we may not have an Impact X Performance facility in your city, but people who are in my mastermind, I'll certainly refer any of them, because I know they're hearing me weekly share where I'm at with things and what I'm doing to help lead people to a greater life. When I say greater life, a life more fulfilled, a life that has not only more success, but more significance. To me, that's what life is all about.
Nice. So since we're on the podcast, I got to ask about what is up for the Todd Durkin Impact Show coming in the next year.
Well, you'll be the host every week. I'll be the guest. No, this is special. This is special, Rebecca. So thank you for hosting it today. On that, there's a couple exciting things with the podcast over the next several months. I like working in seasons, by the way. Like, I love seasons. I guess back to the football thing and sports theme is, seasons typically 12 weeks to, I'll say 18 weeks. NFL is like 17, 18 weeks, and you got playoffs. So let's just say 15 to 18 week seasons. But in this new season with the podcast, one of the things that I know is this: Impact X Performance, all of our coaching, all of our speaking, I always want to represent some body, meaning physical health, some mindset aspect. If you got the body and the mind, and even bring in some of the soul set meaning inspiration, like more inspiration. How can we be even more inspirational to those who listen to get fired up? Because last I checked, everyone wants more motivation and inspiration. Motivation's in the head, inspiration's in the heart. Motivation's in the head, inspiration's in the heart. So what I want to do with our podcast, I talked to Chase Mitchell on our team, is how can we deliver even more of that? So some of the things that people will be hearing in the next few months, in starting like next week, is the way that I'm constructing in this next season of the podcast is body. You're going to have some health set where you get some form of what's on my mind with health. Like, how can you optimize your health? Like, what are some specific things that you can do? So they're going to get that. They're going to have mindset. Imagine that, mindset. You get your mind right. So these are almost like the spit and fires in every episode. So you get that spit and fire motivation, and then you're going to have the health set, and then you're going to have personal. Now, personal is something that's on my mind that's personal. I get a lot of questions from our listeners about like, hey, I love when you share about your family or one of your kids or your marriage or this or that. So there's going to be a segment that I'm going to get a little personal, like share the insides. And that could be something that's on my mind, something that's happening on that. And then the last one is coaching. I want to coach more. So when I say I want to coach more, I'm going to coach more on the podcast. I'm going to actually leave people with action steps on what they can do from this episode to not this one here today, but future forward in this next season. So you're getting health, fitness, nutrition, what I'm calling optimization in the world of recovery and everything in that world, which I'm big in. And then you're going to get the mindset, get your mind right into the personal share. And by the way, personal could mean like, I'm kicking off early here, like, imagine this, football and NIL. The NIL world is bazonkers. And I'm not going to go there today because it's coming up. But like, that's personal to me. Like, it's just personally on my mind. I follow sports very closely, and the NIL world is an absolute, it's craziness right now. So something like that will be quick little shares. So there might be 4 to 7 minutes or so of each section, and then always coaching. Like, what did you get out of this? Or like, just because like the annual strategic plan, I had questions. I want to coach so people can leave with action steps again. Because at the end of the day, when I rate the success of 2025 in a year from now, beginning of January of 2026, I want people to say, man, this is what I got out of my life in 2025. And I want the Todd Durkin Impact Show to be a part of the reason why those changes were made. It's been why I've been like, man, make sure you do your ASP, your annual strategic plan, get it done. Because if it's financial, relational, personal, it's health, it's fitness, it's mindset, any of the 10 forms of wealth, I want to make sure that I'm coaching people at some level. And I'm working on this right now as we speak. I don't have an answer for you today. Is even in our coaching, I want to coach more people. Not just when I'm speaking, but how do I coach more people in our different levels of coaching programs? We've got our mastermind. We've got our Impact X coaching. Like, I'm hoping over the next few months as I really work on this outlay of how can I coach even more people. The podcast is one way that I can even bring in some of that coaching.
Oh, I cannot wait to listen to those upcoming episodes. Now, you give so much, like we've listed podcasts, speaking, coaching, Impact X performance. Like, you are doing so much. So where do you get your motivation and inspiration from?
Good question. I'm going to answer that. But before I answer it, so I don't lose my train of thought, I do want to say there's still going to be interviews. We're still going to have interviews with people because I love interviews. I love having our listeners get interviews, but that'll be once, maybe twice a month. And the other 2 to 3 times will be this style of the Impact Show where you're getting the motivation, you're getting some health, more specific in the trenches on health, and of course the personal, which I want to get more personal with you on that. So we're still going to have interviews on that. But to answer your question, where do I get my motivation?
Yeah.
My faith. There's no doubt. It's like purpose driven. Everything I do is if I'm on point with my faith, that excites me. It fires me up that I'm serving my purpose. I think anyone would equate to that. The other thing is I get my motivation from people, because when I'm around people energize me. If I'm not around people, I'm not happy. So more extroverted in that way of if I'm not in a huddle or I'm not leading a class or I'm not speaking, I feel like things aren't right. This isn't good. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So that motivation, the reason I say that is because that fires me up, because every time I'm with a group of people, they'll ask questions or say something that motivates me to either do better or to find out the answer for someone. But again, it comes down to serving, because you get to serve people because the questions they ask, you feel like you're doing your best work. And I feel like I'm doing my best work when I'm coaching, and I do some of my best work when I'm coaching, when I'm speaking, right? So it's kind of a full circle effect on that. But that's where I get my motivation. Also, early morning in the gyms, listen to Rocky Balboa. Early morning workouts.
Do you start every day with Eye of the Tiger?
You'd have to ask my kids who their rooms are right above my gym at the house. And because they're all home from college right now, both Luke and Brady, whose rooms are directly above the gym, they definitely hear Eye of the Tiger every morning early before they get up, while they're trying to enjoy some time home from college before they go back.
I'm sure you're playing it extra loud right now.
I'm trying to be nice, but I got to get my workout in.
So we've got from you how you stay motivated, and it's the beginning of the year. We're all excited about our goals, our New Year's resolutions, whatever it is the listeners are doing. So how do you suggest they stay motivated throughout the year on those goals, those resolutions? What's the tip you can give us there?
Well, number one, get some accountability. Get accountability. It's one thing to say it or to think it, another thing to write it, another thing to say it, but get accountability. If you really want to make change, get accountability. That's called a coach. Get a coach to hold you accountable to what you say you want to do in whatever area it is. If it's fitness, hire a trainer. If it's in spiritual, then get with someone who's spiritually strong, or a pastor or a rabbi. Get with someone that's going to hold you accountable to what you say, and say it to them of, hey, can you hold me accountable to these things? I also believe in micro chunking everything. Like, I love the annual strategic plan, because as y'all wrap up your ASPs, you have this yearly annual, goal, which is awesome. But then you got to break it down. That's why we reverse engineer everything we do. We've got our year program, and we got our 90-day wonder, and we have our 10 forms of wealth and 3 and 30, which is the month, down to the week, the W lags into the daily. So you reverse engineer, and then you go back, you micro chunk everything so that you can actually achieve it, because everyone loves to say, hey, I got to stack wins. Yeah, stack wins. If you stack more wins than losses, you're going to be pretty good for that. But I think accountability is huge. Getting a coach is essential in whatever area you need the most help. You don't have to hire a coach forever. Hire them for 90 days or for 6 months or for the year. Some people I've been working with for a decade plus, right? But find a coach that you can work with, or get a mentor that can hold you accountable, and that's how you can achieve what you say you want to achieve.
So you're busy doing all these things. You're coaching, you got the podcast, IXP. How do you balance all of it? I hate the word balance, but it really is like, how do you juggle it all? Maybe it's a better word.
Yeah. I was going to say, I learned many, many moons ago, I don't like the word balance either, because there's no such thing as balance. Now, that's a rhetorical answer, because we all know that. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to feel overwhelmed. We don't feel overstressed, which is all real, because there's times that even I do. To answer your question, this is why it's really important to have the team. Like, the team helps a lot more than people probably even think, because they're like, oh, how does Todd do all this? I don't do all this. I do this interview, and then the team, Ruth, April, Chase, Julie, take all of this and make it look pretty. Like, I don't know how they do that. I really don't. Like, that's the team doing great work with speaking. You and Julie working hand in hand on speaking. With all of the coaching, we have a team of people on all of the different coaching, between Frank and Jill and Lisa and Tom Dexter. And those are just the coaches that are leading us. And we have Jess and Lizzie. Like, all these people are on the team helping our coaching programs be successful. So people might think, man, how does Todd do it all? I don't do it all. And I'm working on that right now of even reorganizing so I can streamline my time and energy even better to deliver the highest value. And I think this is an important aspect. I learned this from Tony Robbins, is the more successful you get, the more time you need off to think and strategically plan for what you need to do with your time to deliver the most maximum things on the time that you have. So even right now, what are the things that are the biggest needle movers? What are things that are going to really deliver the most value? This right here, right? The fact that we've got so many listeners listening in, to me is, man, I love speaking on the podcast. So I look at podcasting. I look at speaking. Like speaking is a great needle mover because we can reach so many people on that. Why I want to do more of it. Coaching. Well, yes, I want to coach more, but I can't do like hundreds of one-on-one coaching myself. I can do a limited amount, but then we have the best coaches in the world that I've been training for years now to deliver that, that coaching that we deliver. So how do I do it all? I don't. The team does it all. I mean, when I say the team does it all, the bigger the dream, the more important the team. Julie's been with me for close to 20 years. She's behind the scenes and likes being behind the scenes, but she's a huge aspect of that. Chase is helping us with all aspects. And then you got Impact X Performance and Travis and Cindy Barnes, along with a team of people inside of that. So as a visionary, I'm a visionary. I love being a visionary. I love being front of stage aspects. But when it comes down to the small details of everything, I try to keep my eyes on all of it because all of it's important. But we have some pretty good people that are helping execute what needs to get executed. And because you're thinking about, is it always perfect? No, it's not always perfect. There's always room for improvement. And again, that's why I'm excited for 2025 and some of the shifts and changes we're making to make our coaching programs even better. And, Rebecca, with some of the stuff you do, like I love when you're sitting in on meetings because you bring a wealth of information on many different aspects, from live events that you ran so long for, with idea, and then the speaking and everything you're doing with the speaking aspect. To me, the team allows a lot of this to happen. And Kelly Watson, I mean, she's leading all of our meetings on every Monday. Our team meets with 15 people on those meetings, and we're doing these L10 meetings, which are allowing people to all have their own VTOs and vision traction organizers, and she is an incredible, I always say she's the best coach I know. What she is doing is absolutely incredible on so many levels of overseeing all of our coaching, right? So that, I guess that's how I'd answer it with, I don't balance it all. I just have really tried to lean in on the team even more, and we got a really, really solid team doing great things. And good news or bad is I have a bigger vision, because the better the team gets, my vision grows of, hey, we got to reach 100 million people, and we want to speak more, and we want to do all this. And by the grace of God, things are happening. So it's good.
Well, thank you for your honesty on that one, right? Peeking back the curtain and not trying to appear like you're doing it all. Yeah.
Impossible.
And I think that's really important for people to hear, right? And especially as a female listener, right? We're always trying to do it all. So I think it's important that people out there do know, right? Yeah. That it's not just you.
Yeah. I would say this, my natural inclination is to want to do it all. It's not as easy as it seems. I rely on my team. I come from a scrappy upbringing where I'll do it. So I realized and taught when I was referring back to Tony Robbins is, in that conversation is, you've got to stay in your lane and have those things you're great at and do those things, and think about your team. If they could be 80% as good as you in those areas, then that's going to be really important, because you can't do 100% of all of it. If you got 80 and 80 and 80 and 80 and 80, and then provide feedback on the things that you think are worth improvement, then you got progress and growth in each one. To circle back to Pastor Jeremiah, I remember saying last year to him is, Doc, man, you ever have just months where everything goes right? Because I don't. He looked at me like I was crazy. He said, no, that's called life and that's called business. He goes, the reason why we stay hungry to do that and to reach so many people is because there's always room for improvement and there's always room for growth. And the more you can grow your team to take on more responsibility, the more you can grow them. And when they grow, everything within the world grows. And that allows the organization to serve more people, which brings it back to your mission. His mission's a little different than mine. But I was like, whew, thank God even someone like him's got problems. It was like, I'm not the only one. Because sometimes we feel like, man, no one would understand. That's why I love talking to some of my mentors is you realize you're not the only one with like challenges that happen, because when you have a big vision to whatever your vision is, to reach more people, serve more people, create more impact, it's never perfect. You're just like, man, I always say, I just need one person to come out there and say, man, I really love that episode with you and Rebecca. It like spoke to me and I took action on this. Like every episode, I'm like, if I get one DM or one comment that keeps me fired up, like keep going. Like I'm a words of affirmation guy. So how do you understand what that is? Because all of us have these gifts, but we want to push forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I do want to get a little more personal. Right? You mentioned you were going to get personal on the Impact Show podcast in 2025.
Man, I thought I wasn't even personal.
Here we go. Just getting a little bit more into family life. You and Melanie are about to celebrate a big anniversary coming up, right? Now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Every anniversary is big. Every anniversary is big.
So you guys have almost been married for 24 years.
Yep.
I've been married for a long time, not that long, so not as long as you. I want to know what's your secret? What's any tips you have for listeners for a great marriage?
We are celebrating 24 years of marriage in February this year, which means after February 19th, we turn into, that's our 25th year we're going on, which in my annual strategic plan, I said, okay, 25 years next year, we gotta do something big. Honestly, I was sharing at the dinner table. It's been great having Luke Brady and McKenna all in the same home. Is like finding a spouse. You got to do a couple of things. Number one, make sure you're equally yoked. I think to have a spouse who is on the same wavelength and page of you as you makes it so much better. So much, I don't want to say easier to get through the tough times, but when someone's equally yoked, then you can get through the tough times. Because listen, in 25 years, you're going to have some tough times. Heck, in a year, you're going to have tough times on every level. But I would say being equally yoked is an important thing.
Let me stop you there. Now, this is a biblical reference for somebody who hasn't heard it before. What's another way to say equally yoked? What's another?
To be on the same faith wavelength,
okay.
To be of the same faith and equal of the same belief systems. I think it's another way to say, equally yoked.
Sharing the same values. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, and equally yoked on the faith side is obviously from the faith side, but obviously values, ethics, all of that come into play. But Melanie and I, since day one, have had a similar type upbringing and faith walk. Obviously, everyone has their own story, but I think it's been an important part. There's no doubt it's been an important part to keeping us close over this time. Because let's face it, man, it ain't easy these days to stay together and do the right thing. All of those aspects that is tough, right? So I think that's one of them. Two, sounds rhetorical, but communication. I think when you're busy and everyone's busy, it's hard sometimes just to tell your spouse what's going on. Because I have 50 things going on. I can't overwhelm her. She's got her own things going on. Hey, honey, I got an idea to change the world. And I'm going to just share all 50 ideas. That's why I love driving in a car when I'm with Melanie, because I do my best talking when I'm driving for whatever reason. I'm like, hey, hon, you want to go for a drive up the coast? But the communication aspect is important because I always say, don't blindside me, right? I don't want to blindside her. How do you speak to your spouse about big things and small things that are important, or about the kids on that. And then the last thing, and this is one that's important, but it's hard to do, is how do you get, I'll say date night once a week, once every other week, once a month, whatever your date nights are. I know 2025 is like, I want a date a week. Like, that's a lot. It's a lot of dates every week. And you got kids stuff, I'm coaching McKenna's team, and I'm traveling, but how do you get a date? Whatever that is for you. But it's really when you're with your spouse, how do you be with your spouse? And someone in 2024 I wasn't great at, like, meaning, well, if she's vegging out on the TV watching Lincoln Lawyer or some show like that, right? How can we be present with each other if we're not just like on the phone or doing stupid stuff? Like, to me, being present or planning times of being present together versus just being there. There's a difference of being there and being present with someone. So I think for 24 years almost here, I've been blessed to have her in my corner, and she's been my silent partner in a lot of ways. But, she, as I shared in True Strength, she really was my rock and fortress through some very difficult times, specifically in the last few years, that have made me appreciate her even more, and our love's gotten even better.
So what does she do to support you?
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
She's smart. She gave me words of affirmation. That's all she needs to say. I would say that. And the other thing she does that's not directly for me, but like with the kids being home over the holidays, she's been in the kitchen nonstop cooking for the kids. Like, it seems like all day, every day, like, just she's cooking a ton. And that warms my heart, knowing that it's making her happy to cook for the kids. Like, she loves making Luke and Brady, who've been away at college, all this food. And, Brady's got gluten-free, and he's got all this. Like, she loves cooking for the kids because she knows that they love that. So it warms my heart to know that she's doing something that she loves to do to make them happy. So it's little things like that too that make a big difference.
So let's flip it. How do you support her?
Time, because I know that one of her love languages is time, which has been the biggest battle. Because if you don't have time or you're away for X amount, it's time with her on that. So again, I think being present when I am home is a big thing on that. And also like acts of service is the other love language, like acts of service. And acts of service could be small, like doing my chores, of taking the garbage, like stupid things, like, because you don't want to get yelled at, right, fellas, on that. But acts of service, but I mean little things like touch, on that, little acts of service of helping clean up is an act of service versus just after the dinner table going to the TV and not helping do anything. So she appreciates little things like that, and realizing that. I can't recommend that book enough. The I think it's Gary Chapman, if I'm not mistaken, The 5 Love Languages. Chapman, I believe. But the 5 love languages, because when you understand what makes another person tick, then you can better understand how to support them. Yeah.
Yeah, good tip. Now, we do have Brady Durkin in the house, and he mentioned...
Brady's in the house.
He mentioned earlier something about being your favorite son, so I was just wondering, what has he done to become your favorite son? Don't listen to this, Luke.
Brady, that's what... So he said that, huh? Yeah, of course he's my favorite son.
Because he's the one here right now.
Yeah, right, exactly. Listen, it's been great having both the boys home from college. We're going to have 3 in North Carolina, between Brady at High Point, Luke at Davidson, who's graduating and going to law school next year, and then McKenna is going to play lacrosse at High Point. She's only a junior now. But when you say Brady's my favorite son, Brady, one of the reasons why he's here right now as we speak, he's only home for a few weeks, and he's going back here right about the time this podcast drops, is he's studying this in college. He's studying this whole world of not only cinematography and movie production and social media and business, I mean, he actually interned for Pastor Jeremiah last summer, and we'll be doing the same this summer because this world is kind of his world. He loves the creative side, but he loves the writing side. He's a very good writer, always has been. He's actually written a book during the pandemic. Wrote a book, but I'd say what's cool about Brady, he came up to the trainer meetup at Impact X Performance up in Huntington Beach, and I told Brady this. I saw something in him for the first time. I saw something in him because he's told me for a few years what he wants to study, but I saw it on that Saturday, December 21st. I saw it. What's it? I saw him doing things that I didn't have to ask him to do. He was taking all the B-roll around. He was talking to people. He was shooting me when I was off. Like, people want to see what you're doing when you're off camera. He was shooting me. He had an eye that somewhere in the last year he picked up in school at High Point in filming or all his production classes and that. And I said that to Brady. I said, hey, Brady, I saw something in you that I have not seen before. I've heard you talk about what you want to do, and you want to be a producer someday, and you want to, write shows and this and that. And he was very grateful in how he was appreciative of the fact that I recognized that. And I think that was the biggest thing is, I remember as a kid, that's all you want is acknowledgement that you're working hard and someone saw that or sees that, because that was the first time I actually saw it. Like, I heard the dreams, but I now saw it being put into action. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Doesn't mean it's what you're going to do, but you saw such progress in a year's time. So that's why he's here today. I said, hey, Brady, we're shooting a podcast. I need your help. I need you to make you maybe look pretty over here or something, because I need a lot of help. But now it's great to have him in the house. Yeah. And no slight, if Luke and McKenna are listening, they're my favorites as well. All three are my favorites.
So one of the places you talk about the most is Montana. So what is the infatuation with Montana?
Oh, God, I love Montana.
Like, take a deep breath.
You know what? I actually just did. I did. You know what? I think that's why I love Montana, because I can breathe there. I breathe better there. I've always loved the mountains. Well, I say I always loved the mountains. I grew up on the beach in New Jersey, but in like 2007, 8, I started to enjoy the mountains even more. The mountains now to me are where I can go to really get away and dream even bigger. And in Montana, when I got introduced to Montana in 2021 and 2, and going to Whitefish, got involved in helping a great project that's going on out there called the Homestead, in really helping them develop their whole spa and fitness and lifestyle aspect of the Homestead. It's been really awesome. We've now had, I think, 4 or 5 retreats out there in the last 3 years. We're going to be having another one in November 2025, so mark your calendars now, early November. I'll get you the dates here in a few weeks, but we're going to be having another retreat, even bigger retreat in 2025. To me, Montana, when I first went there and met Stacy Smith, there's on this one property called on the Homestead, he said, this is where we want to build legacy. And right off the bat, he was speaking my language, because I've always been about building a legacy. Even when I was in my 30s, I was like, the saying is, when you're before age 50, you seek legitimacy, and after age 50, you seek legacy. And my whole thing was always, why do we have to be a certain age to seek legacy? We all seek to be legitimate all the time. Let's start seeking legacy now. And when Stacy Smith said that to me about that, I said, this is like legacy on the land. How do you build legacy on the land? And that's one that can be passed on to generations. So as future forward, not in 25, but future forward, as I spend even more time in Montana, not only helping with the homestead, but in eventually having a place out there, I'm excited for what that represents because of legacy. That's why I'm excited about Montana. And it sure is fresh air to breathe, clean air, and good people.
I'm ready to go again. Let's go.
Let's go.
So a few quick fire questions.
All right.
What is the best compliment you've ever received?
best compliment. I don't know if there's a compliment, but it's a compliment in my mind is you saved my life. Just heard it yesterday. Again. When someone can, that's the best one. I can't even elaborate. I'll just say that I see all my DMs. Maybe it's because the beginning of the year, end of the year, people get very reflective. They look on their years. But I'd say that'd be one of them.
Well, that is impact there for sure. On the Impact Show, on your podcast, who is like big dream? Who would you love to have on the show as a guest?
You know, I'd say it's because I listened to his show. I'd say Ed Milet. We're around some of the same people. He's got a great show, and you're gonna hear from other people that has been on his show. But I'd say Ed Milet.
Okay, I'll see if I can make that happen this year. Now, final question as we wrap things up. You mentioned you were just talking about legacy. So what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered for?
I said this in 24. I'll say it again. It's interesting because coming off of the last few years, I almost have this rekindling of I'm in startup mode. Right, like it's kind of like because of Impact X Performance and the coaching and everything we're doing with our coaching programs and speaking is finally coming back to where we want it to. Like I don't want to say I don't think of legacy like I was prior to the pandemic, but I'm in such a startup mode, frame of mind, which is really good. Like I like being here because I'm like I can focus on. Hey, I got a session here. In a half hour, I'm going to be with an athlete coaching them, or hey, with the Impact X coaching program and the mastermind, we got this and that. Like I'm so in the weeds right now on some cool things that I'm not like, hey, my legacy is about this. That being said, coming off of the annual strategic plan that we just finished, it's the one time where I stop and reflect on legacy and what that means. To me, it's all about impact. And it's, in a measurable standpoint, I'll say I want to reach 100 million people one by one. And that's going to come from speaking. It's going to come from coaching. And it's going to come from with a podcast. We had a record year in 2024. We far past 1 million downloads and listens. We have aggressive plans to become even better in 2025. So legacy, it's interesting now because I've always been focused on legacy and creating something good, but now it's back to the fact of I just love doing what I'm doing. Like I love coaching. I love being back in the trenches like I am at IXP, at FQ10. I have a number of online calls a day with coaching people in the weeds, like who are stuck in their businesses and making major strategic decisions about how do I get from here to here, and I've got some big decisions to make on how strategically to do that. Okay, let's get on the whiteboard. We're on the whiteboard. Like the whiteboard and me, like I'm in my sweet spot when I'm on that whiteboard doing that. So I think legacy is built from the daily, from doing that over and over and over again. And I think I went into that pandemic burnt out from doing it so long like that. And then now I have this revival of, all right, with Impact X Performance and everything we've got going on the coaching side of things is I'm really excited about that.
Well, sounds like 2025 is going to be one iconic year.
Yep.
Well, thank you for
my theme. I asked you guys your theme because you said the word iconic. I had two themes I was going to have for 2025, and I narrowed it down. I just shared it on the pod earlier. It was either going to be the light, which is the mission at Impact X Performance, be the light, be the light, be the light. Or the theme is coaching greatness. And that's my theme for 25 is coaching greatness because I want to coach even more greatness. People are operating at good levels, but there's always another level. And I want to uptick myself those around me, I'm going to hold even higher standards to here's what we got to do to get to where we want to go. And then those whom I'm coaching in our programs, and we're going to have even more programs, by the way, probably as I go through this, will probably be March or April, we'll have some new coaching programs coming out, is how can I help even more people at all levels? If someone's the highest level entrepreneur, like I'm coaching one-on-one now, or someone who just wants to get a little bit deeper than this podcast and go through, the next step. What does that look like? To me, that's coaching greatness. It's my theme for 2025 because I want to coach even more greatness in 25.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to listen to the podcast and see everything that is coming down the pike this year. Thank you, Todd Durkin. You have been a wonderful guest.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Well, that's a wrap of episode 408, the very first episode of 2025. Can you believe it? I hope you enjoyed today's interview where Rebecca Garity-Pinto interviewed me, which is some great questions. And I thank Rebecca for that. I've known her for a long time, and she went deep on those questions. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you had the opportunity to think through them. And as you've been working on your annual strategic plan over the last several weeks in December and even into early January here, that you've had the opportunity to think about your strategy, what you want to do in all aspects of your life. And Rebecca, she asked a lot about coaching, and I shared my vision of coaching and what's coming down the pike with coaching. And I'm really excited for the upcoming months and some of the things that we'll be delivering, the team and I, and you'll be hearing more about that over the next several months. Of course, Impact X Performance. And man, oh man, like I said on the show, I just can't believe that it was just May of 2024 when I launched this bad boy, and to see its growth and what we're doing now and how we're turning up the heat here in 2025 really excites me. And when you set goals and when you put those goals on paper, let me tell you what, that gets really, really exciting as well. And then huge shout out. I wanted to thank her for asking me about the kids and Melanie, and as the 24th wedding anniversary comes up, so much going on my mind with just gratitude for the family and how we can never stop celebrating family enough, right? It's a really important aspect. So a huge kudos to you for listening in. And again, I want to thank you and ask if you could please share this episode with your friends, your community. And then don't forget, giving us a 5-star review and writing a review on that really helps us. Just go to iTunes, give us that 5-star rating, and then write the review, 5-star rating, and write the review. It helps us grow the Impact Show. And lastly, she also asked about the podcast itself, the Impact Show podcast, and my goals and plans and vision in 2025 with the Impact Show. And I could not be more excited as we kick off 2025 with what today was the first official podcast of the year, of what is to come. And even next week, you're going to hear on the podcast, episode 409, the first revised edition of the Impact Show podcast, because as I said in the show, there's going to be 4 quarters to it. There's going to be mindset. You can bet your bottom dollar if there's Impact Show, there's going to be mindset involved. It's going to get your mind right. There's going to be the health set. And when I talk about coaching greatness, I want to coach you this year even more when it comes to your health, your fitness, your performance in all areas of your life. And when I talk about all areas of your life, I'm talking one of the other pillars is leadership. We're talking business and entrepreneurism, and I want to drop some nuggets and wisdom on the business side as well. So you got mindset, health set, leadership, and I also shared personal, the 4th quarter, the 4 pillars and the 4 quarters. We're going to get personal with you, and this personal gives me the flexibility to go in any direction I want. And as we do that, I'm even going to next week get personal on just some of the things where I'm at and why I'm excited. And I think you're going to enjoy that as well. Of course, I'll be coaching throughout, and I want to coach even more on the podcast and in our programs in 2025. So you can bet that 2025 is going to bring you even more impact I hope you're as excited as I am for the year of 2025. I thank you for joining us. I can't wait to see you next week. And whether you're listening in now via audio, you're watching on YouTube, where all of our shows go on video as well, or you're seeing snippets here and there, please continue to listen into the entire show, as I do believe that we're going to be bringing the heat here in 2025. Without further ado, remember, you got to train hard. You must eat right. Please eat right. Yeah, you got to eat right. Train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact in 2025. God bless you all, and I'll see you next week.